What do you want, human?
Oh, excuse me, sir, but I believe...
You are in human form, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, well, excuse me, sir, but I believe we need your services.
Kinda... Oh, yeah, you and half the other bloody population of the city.
No, just me and a couple of my associates.
No, I can assure you, everyone is looking for my services tonight, or so it seems.
But I'm fairly certain I will be getting them.
That's all. He kind of eyes you up as though, you're looking for a fight here, pal.
I flash him the badge, when he starts eyeing me up.
You flash him the badge, and he says, ooh, I see how it is. And what exact services would you be looking for?
I believe someone should have contacted you. I need to charter a flight to Abbey Peak.
Ooh, you're Silas, are you?
Yes.
Ooh, I'd heard you were a furball. Excuse me, I didn't recognize you.
Only sometimes.
Yes, and wow, you got here pretty fast. Took the tram, did you?
Indeed, yes.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Quite the marvel. You dwarves are very...
Oh, that was all the gnomes, but we'll take credit.
Dwarves, gnomes,
We dug the tunnel, but he gives a chuckle at that, and he says, Worgen, human elves. It's all the same when you're this tall.
Tall or short, those are the only differences.
Well, give me but a wee minute. I'll get your flight ready.
Thank you. My two companions should be here soon. Yes, just grabbing us some supplies.
Good. And to the annoyance of the crowd, who haven't overheard the conversation given the noise they and everything around were making, he sort of turns his back and ignores their complaints and begins saddling a couple of griffins to the shouts of, "Hey, what's so special about him?" and just grumbling and so on. And you just kind of stand.
Cheese is really important.
You just stand there looking stoic.
Exactly.
Okay. Sure. So
I saw building my sniper rifle.
So meanwhile, Shalon and Talia, you have made your way back around the Great Forge, past the corridor to the military ward, around the high seat, and now progressing down a long, firelit tunnel towards the commons. A few minutes of walking through what feels somewhat it's got a kind of claustrophobic air to it. Just the grey stone, and just the kind of proportion scale of the thing.
Just the general heat, probably.
Yeah, the heat. Even it's like the scale of the thing is, well, not the scale. The proportions are dwarven. It's quite not very high for how wide it is, but it belies the fact that really it's like 30 feet tall and 30 feet wide. It really is quite this kind of huge. What would be almost a thoroughfare in less industrious nations. But you get to the end of it and step out into the wide plaza of the commons with its huge iron slab tiles and convenient cornerstones that sort of make a fun minigame if you try and jump between them when you're bored.
Back in the good old days when Ironforge was the capital. Legion had peak subscribers.
Did it?
Oh.
I was gonna say, I don't think anything's gonna... Wrath subscribers are never coming back. Yeah. And so, yeah, you progress out into the commons. The huge, hulking, multi-story building of the auction house is across the chasm from you. On the right is the also huge, pillared and well-decorated Bank of Ironforge. Around various shops, Steel Fury's Weapon Emporium, Ironforge Armory, Barham's Regents, and so on. Fitspinner's General Goods catches your eye as perhaps the target of your investigation.
Yeah,
opposite the Ironforge Visitor Center. Wow, I BM'd them earlier for not having one, but yes, here it is. Well, it wasn't in the Deep Run tram. It's apparently by the main gates of the city. They discovered the Ironforge Visitor Center.
Oh, nice.
Well, they haven't gone into it.
Catch a tour, maybe.
Sure, we never gave you a timeline of how long we've been gone.
Indeed, you didn't, but I assumed you wouldn't take a tour. I'm happy by telling about this.
It might be important to the mission.
They decided to take a tour of the city.
We're gonna do this in every city we go to. You realize that,
You
right?
you should hate this city. Doesn't make any sense. Why do you want to see it all?
I mean, I don't understand it. Not
But you're right,
fully.
if I went to like, I don't know, Pell, I'd be like, yeah, really cool before I leave.
Okay, so what? You make your way to Fitzspinner's General Goods.
Yeah, that seems like the place to be.
Okay, it being the middle of the night in Stormwind, everything would have been closed, but Ironforge never closes.
New York City of the world. Okay.
So yeah, exactly. So you make your way in at street level and then down a wide flight of steps to the shop proper, where there are a group of people working there, standing around by various counters. The shop itself is well furnished, with all sorts of weird and wonderful general goods lying around, kegs, rifles, things that the dwarves consider general goods that the rest of the world might not, but also rations, wheels of cheese, water skins, flasks of ale, and tools, hammers, all sorts, all the various things that someone might need in day-to-day life in Ironforge.
Right.
Hunting trophies hang from some of the walls, and the kind of dirty yellow light of flame lamps that pervades the entire city is present here as well.
Okay.
And yes, you look around and you see that you see a dwarf, a female dwarf. They do exist in this world. Behind
we
one of the
tell it's a
counters,
female?
kind of eyeing you expectantly. She's wearing less chainmail than the average dwarf, and
Okay.
she has her hair in bunches on either side,
Just the
Gotcha.
bust.
and no beard.
Okay.
Alright, so I woke up and say, greetings.
Hey, what can I do for you?
Well, as you can see, me and my colleague are not from around these parts. We, in fact, are leading an excursion through the Eastern Kingdoms, and we are in need of some rations for my sizable group.
She kind of scratches her chin and says, "Well, we don't really have any elf food, but if you don't mind dwarf rations."
That would be fine. Would 60 be possible?
60 days of rations. Big company, is it? Or a long trip?
Only a few days, but it's quite a sizable group.
Sure, we can do 60. Give me a second. And she goes back and begins stacking various slabs of an identical looking substance, separated by thin sheets of paper, one on top of the other, up on the countertop. Yeah, you sort of while she's turned away, kind of peel back the paper off the top one, discovering a thin, flat bread.
And
This bread?
I take a little corner and
The dwarven equivalent of lembas bread.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You break off a corner, or you go to break off a corner. Give me a strength check.
just a straight up strength roll.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So with more effort than you were expecting to expend on a piece of bread, you sort of lean over it with both hands, crack off a corner.
Both hands.
It's certainly much heavier than or denser, I should say, for the size, than a piece of bread you've ever held in your hands before. You kind of eye it. Do you still try it?
Just a nibble.
Okay. Yeah. You.
How many
bite.
teeth does she break?
You bite quite hard. It is a bit like trying to take a bite out of a rock, but by getting it in the molars, you manage to get a slight, a crumble off, and sort of chew on it thoughtfully. It tastes pretty vile, if you're honest with yourself. Vile describes a kind of a very unpleasant flavor. In truth, it has very little flavor to it at all. But it is an unpleasant texture. It's heavy in your mouth, and when you swallow it, you think there's a sort of audible thunk as it reaches your stomach.
kind of do like a shoulder shake at Shallan and say, "It'll keep us alive, I suppose."
Well, yes, you could always use it as a weapon if you get attacked.
Hmm.
It is, in fact, dwarf bread.
Okay. Then yes, this will do.
Okay.
Except-
So yeah, eventually 60 loaves are stacked up, which don't actually take up as much space. You know, it's not actually a huge space. Although when you go to sort of start loading them into your backpacks, they are the full weight. You know, each day's rations is the.
I'll
is
take
the
like
2-pack.
for like 60 total. I'll take 45 and leave 15 for.
Okay.
It is, yeah. They are compact. They fit quite neatly in the packs you have. Although the weight is very noticeable. As you guys are kind of packing up the last of the bread, the dwarven shopkeeper says, "You know, I've never met an elf before that can stomach dwarf bread. Good for you. It really is superior cuisine, is it not?"
It is quite efficient.
It is quite some. Yeah, it is quite something. Yes.
She beams as though she doesn't take the kind of sidestepping of the language.
Yeah.
Or she didn't seem to notice the subtlety of the way you described it. She thinks you were being very complimentary.
Oh, speaking of, as we are not familiar with the city of Ironforge, and we will not be staying long, unfortunately, are there any locations or sites you absolutely must see?
She kind of pauses and thinks for a second and says, "How'd you come into the city?"
We took the tram.
"Oh, you must see the Great Gate then before you leave."
Ah, that is quite close, isn't
statue
it?
of who would the statue have been of? Does it say? Give me a second.
Bill.
Have been.
Anvilmore, the
No.
old king of Ironforge.
I think it probably is. Yeah, the statue of Anvilmore is really quite something to behold. Elsewise, the Great Forge is certainly a proud sight of the Dwarven nation. You would have seen Tinkertown on the way in. That's all right if you're in for sort of gnomey things. Glance across it at the owner of the shop, one of the other shopkeepers. But it's not everyone's thing.
Agreed.
Elsewise, you can take a peek in the bank. The architecture is quite marvelous, and the vaults are some of the strongest in the world.
Yeah, kinda like take this information in my head. Alright. My thanks.
Not mention it. Enjoy your stay, brief it may be.
Of course. I honor the gold.
Okay.
And that'll do as payments.
Takes it, and, kind of counts through it and then cashes it away efficiently
Bites a
as his
couple.
dwarfs. I don't know. Softer than the bread.
Alright, yeah, so we take our leave. I say to Shallan, the cage she was speaking of is over here. We are on the right side of the chasm after all. Take a quick peek.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, we
Okay, so you nip out and cross the chasm. Again, rather an alarming sight. Not the height of it, for you obviously are elves and are used to sort of skirting around much narrower paths than this wide, sturdy bridge in trees. But a glance over the edge does reveal a drop, like 100-foot drop into a river of lava slowly churning around the city, with what to your eyes looks like a not entirely sturdy net in place to prevent you from falling into it. But nevertheless, you cross the bridge and head out into the Great Gate area of the city. As you pass it, the battalion of dwarfs that you saw heading to the commons earlier is also marching around the corner and out into the front of Ironforge proper. And as you enter the Great Gate area, or the Gates of Ironforge area, the hum of the city is drowned out by a more kind of persistent, whiny, and higher-pitched drone from coming from outside beyond the Great Gates, somewhere out, like in the valley outside Ironforge.
Andrew.
Yeah, like a kind of.
Would I have any idea what that is?
No, I don't think you would. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's like it's similar to the kind of whirring hum of machinery from Tinkertown, but louder and higher.
I kind of like point to Shalana, like, Winton. Any idea?
Do I have any idea whatsoever?
Probably. Not.
Thinking back, sorry, no,
Yeah,
I don't think so either.
haven't a clue.
But nevertheless, you do, as you sort of hear, as the conversation is slightly drowned out by the unanimous, the treading in unison of many heavy iron-nailed boots. You do round the corner and are presented with the sight of this enormous, forged of iron and plated in parts of gold statue of the first king of Ironforge. In a what to dwarves, to you is a slightly you'd consider somewhat ostentatious. The dwarves is surely a heroic pose. Both arms thrust in the air, one clasping a hammer that on this scale is the size of a small house, and the head of which is the size of a small house, and the other a large hand axe plated in gold. A large helmet enamored with the trappings of a crown rests upon his head, and all in all, it's quite an impressive, imposing, if to the elven sensibilities, garish sight.
Right. Yeah, so
Certainly, being sort of directly in front of anyone who would be coming in the gates, it makes a stark first impression of the city of Ironforge.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm at a conundrum. Like, I don't want this to take ages, but also I would want to check out the north. In a way we can quickly go check, but not take like 15
Yeah,
minutes.
I mean, you can walk down the like steps and along the sort of snowy path into the crisp mountain air and out into the Dunmorrow Valley and see what's going on.
Okay, I'll look at Shalana's head. I believe it might be quite vital to the mission if we check out. Ironforge might be under attack.
Sure.
The justification.
If it's nothing, we don't even have to tell Silas.
You could have probably just told me that was the way we should go, and I would have just followed. So, you know.
Into the fresh air, yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Everything is insane to me. It all works.
Alright, so do a quick peek outside.
Okay. So yeah, you head down and pass along. High above you as you reach the gates is the actual gate mechanism, which is a huge portcullis, not of bars, but of a sliding, in the style of a portcullis, a sliding door that would come down, steel, 3 meters thick, with 3 teeth, easily 20 feet long each, that would slot into the ground should the gate ever be closed, sealing the city quite literally from the outside world. And as you stand in it and look out into the night air, you see above you, well lit by spotlights shining up as well as lights shining down, a huge Alliance gunship hovering there in the air, suspended by rotors in the 4 corners. It does literally take the shape of a galleon or a huge ship in the air. With kind of drone-like engines, and as you watch, the battalion of dwarves that you've seen twice now in the city are being ferried up to it one by gyrocopters, and 8 long chains, 4 attached to each, are lowered from the very belly of the ship, raising up to it a pair of steam tanks that are apparently being loaded on board.
Must admit, not what I expected.
Yeah.
The noise, like in direct line of sight of it, is really quite deafening. And like even from like it being a couple of 100 feet up, the downdraft from the rotors, the speed they're required to spin out to keep such a mass in the air is causing quite the storm of snow and frost to kind of swirl around you guys.
Would I have ever seen anything like this before?
No, I think not. The gunships are an invention of the dwarves and gnomes. They're a few years old now, probably a good decade since the first one ever took
I've
flight.
probably heard of one.
But yeah, like you guys have not really been in areas of the world where they've been deployed. So
There's only a few, right, in the alliance?
yeah, there's only a few. Like I'd say, I mean, there's it's not like 2 of them, but like no more than 10 have ever been built. And,
Right.
It's probably like, given how many have been destroyed over the years, probably 5 or 6 in action at any given time or in use.
And you say it seems to be being loaded with what?
A battalion of dwarves and a pair of steam tanks.
So I'll just turn to Tybeck. No, what's all that about?
The tanks? Or just
Well,
the
yeah,
entire
like
thing?
I mean, why would they be loading up the ship with a battalion of dwarves and steam tanks?
Assume they're off to the broken shore. I'm not sure if the situation over there is handled or not. Something happened. I cannot assume we are at war with the Horde already, but anything is possible.
Give me perception checks, please.
I can do those usually.
So you have 6, right? So that means I have 4. And that means Ian has 2.
Ha!
Talia, okay, so yeah, as you're surveying the scene, you notice that the gunship hovering there has clearly seen battle recently. It has superficial damage to the woodwork and like burn scars along it that have been, have happened so recently that the thing
Is there
has
like
yet to be repaired.
is there like a long scratch around, like from a giant demon?
No, not this one, because I know where that. I did think about making it that one, but that one's actually somewhere else at this particular point. I think that one's actually over Stormwind, or at least being repaired in Stormwind. But yeah, no, there's no giant hand mark left by a Garothi Worldbreaker. But this gunship has certainly seen action recently. The signs of burns and scratches and like heavy projectiles have been fired at it. It's not fresh off the press.
Mostly burns would indicate it battled the Legion. I wonder where it will go next. Might have been faster for going them to head north. Oh well.
You're saying we should go ask?
Saying Silas will probably get mad if we do.
Silas is like looking at where his watch would be if he had a watch. And
I don't have a watch.
Oh, he has a pocket
I
watch,
have a
right?
pocket watch.
Oh, yeah,
We've established this.
he gets his pocket watch out and
Winds it, it's getting flat on my soul.
Anyways, I do not think they will divulge that information to a couple of night owls.
You're probably right. Let's head back.
And it's probably also freezing, right? So
Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
always snowy in Dunmore. Yeah, so let's head back and get to the Great Forge again.
Yeah, so I'm guessing we head back.
Yeah, so yeah, you guys make your way back through the commons, along the long, low corridor, out into the Great Forge, still a jaw-dropping sight, and then work your way around the edge of it towards the Griffin Master. And while they're doing that leg of the journey, that is when Silas, you spot them approaching.
Wait, I just waved them up.
It's been about half an hour since you last saw them,
Yeah.
maybe 45 minutes.
Has the Griffin Master come back at any point and be like, hey, you ready?
Yeah, like about 5 minutes after you first spoke to him, he sort of he came over and said, "Yeah, the transport's ready, sir."
I say excellent. My companions might be slightly longer, but
And 40 minutes later.
What?
Ah,
but
30.
it should be here soon. Oh, does he
Yeah.
like? I mean, I don't know what Griffin table looks like. Can I like see the Griffins that I'm gonna go on? Or like,
Yeah, yeah, they're like.
I guess I'll
lined
just,
up,
like-
3 of them.
do they have like saddlebags that we put on?
Yeah,
like,
they're yeah,
like,
exactly.
okay, so
They're
I'll make them do
saddled with harnesses. They don't have reins though. No like visible means of controlling them, but certainly like the leather required to be able to sit on the thing.
Yeah, so I'll like store my bag in the saddlebag and then just like wait.
Okay, yeah. The griffin regards you with a keen, intelligent eye as you load up.
Silas
His...
grabs
Well, what's my
his,
animal
saddlebags.
handling?
his
What-
cheese from
what
his
is your
emergency
animal
stash.
0.
Or
What's
the
my
animal
animal
is gone.
handling though, first? See if he likes me. Maybe he wants to come with me and fly away. No.
No, it turns out not. But he
No trace
regards
that.
he regards you impassively.
6.
Fine.
Yeah, so Talia and Siobhan, eventually you come to where Silas is waiting for you. You sort
made
of
it?
push through the crowd.
Yeah, I agree to say mission successful.
Great. These are our griffins. I kind of gesture to the three of them. Pack your bags. Let's be off quickly.
Gratefully, place my backpack.
Unburden yourself.
Burden
Right.
myself.
He's just dumping out rations. They just keep going. It's like a waterfall,
It's like 60 rocks dumping into the griffin.
basically. Yeah.
They say a man can go for miles on dwarf bread.
I mean, like as a stone rolls down a hill, or
Yeah, no, it's like you keep going because you're like, I gotta find somewhere else to fucking eat for tonight. Or it's gonna be the fucking bread again.
yeah,
They call it cram in Lord of
it
the Rings, right?
sustains you enough.
They call it cram, right, in Lord of the Rings, the bread the dwarves make.
I don't know, do they?
Well, yeah, there's a scene when, in the book, when Gimli tries Olympus when he forgets it, and he looks all upset, and then he looks really happy, and he's like, oh my god, it's so good. Not like cram. Yeah. Grab some for me, Talia.
Yeah, didn't she just dump it in a pile in front of you? No,
No, I think she loaded them all up in her saddlebag.
fair enough.
I
She has saddlebags.
Yeah,
Griffin,
everyone. All the griffins have.
I am the mule.
Thanks.
Okay, I thought you were saying like Talia herself. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
the saddlebags on her griffin.
I just put them all into my saddlebags for now, but if you wish to have them,
We can split them up once we land.
Yeah.
And I mount the griffin.
not in front of the public. At a room.
Come on, Talia. Relax. Everyone does it.
Yeah, we've seen at least 2 dwarves doing it in the last 6 months.
Okay, so you guys mount, and the Griffin Master kind of comes over to you. The Griffins watch him beadily, and he says, yeah, these are fast beasts. They should bring you to Wildhammer Stronghold by nightfall tomorrow. Do be sure they send them back. They don't always, you know. Are you ready to depart?
Is it clear where you hold on this thing?
Yeah, there's clear handles for holding on, but
Right.
there's no visible way for you to like control the flight.
Otherwise, it
It's-
would be very easy to steal them. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll just make sure to hold on extra tight.
It's clear that they're intended, that
basically
they're the
carrier
pilots
pigeons.
and you're the passengers.
Yeah.
And we're the. Yeah. Gotcha.
So he says, "Are you ready to depart?"
Yes.
I looked at it too. And,
I kind of shrug. Is it any different from hippogriffs?
Any different from hippogriffs? I could, as flight master of Ironforge, I could write you an essay on the difference between a griffin and a hippogriff.
Any practical difference as a rider I should know about?
Not much better.
I will take that into consideration. Thank you.
Right. Well, off with you then. And he makes a hand gesture, and in perfect unison, all 3 griffins, as they've been so tensely waiting for this, spring into the air. and out across the lava lake of the Great Forge, using the thermals rising as you guys are sort of buffeted by rising hot air. They soar higher and higher into the air of the cavern
Must be freezing.
before.
Must get really cold. Anyway, go on.
Well, it's very warm in here because most of the floor is lava. Yeah. Before whisking you off skillfully and gracefully, each in a sort of single file line, through a side tunnel in the roof that eventually leads out into the common, barely wider than the Griffin's wingspan. Actually, it's quite nerve-wracking, but they seem confident. They swoop across the great commons of Ironforge. You see the mercantile life going on far below. Out through a hole in the above the gates of Ironforge, you fly between the hammer and axe of the statue of Anvilmar, and then swoop down through the gate and out into the night air of the mountain, or of the mountains of Dunmora, where it is immediately absolutely fucking freezing. Anybody who is not wrapped up warm is going to absolutely regret it by the end of the day.